Hi there, my name's Graham Newbig, and I'm Chief Scientist at All Hands AI and a professor at CMU. And in this video, I'd like to talk a little bit about what I'm thinking about what software engineering might look like in 2026. And the background behind why I decided to make this video is for the past 9 months, I've been almost exclusively using AI agents to do a lot of my development work. And I used to use VS Code or Cursor or all of your favorite IDEs to write code myself, but now I would say 90 to 95% of my work is done through agents, and it's rather rare that I actually pull out my IDE to write code anymore. Another interesting thing is that on our repo for our coding agent OpenHands, it's now become the top contributor, surpassing all of the other human contributors on the repo with 660 commits. Obviously, this could be a pretty seismic shift in the way we do software engineering. And we have many people even saying things like, in a year, we're not going to have software engineers anymore. But my opinion is a bit different. I think that we definitely are going to have software engineers. It's just that the role of software engineers in the software development process is going to change quite a bit. And specifically, it's probably going to move from coding to something more like architecting and project management. I would say that many teams are already moving along with the shift, but in order to kind of give an idea of what the future of software development may look like, I'd like to give a quick demo of my workflow in building a new app. So now I'd like to start demonstrating creating a new project with coding agents. Note that I'm not starting in my IDE, but rather I'm starting in GitHub. And in order to do so, I will move and create a new repository. Specifically, what I'd like to create is a monitor for GitHub repos. And this is something that I've been wanting to create for a while. It's basically a monitor that will allow me to look at a repo and see which pull requests need attention. And so the first thing I do is I create issues for the kinds of things I would like to do. And the first thing is set up repo. And this will be create a repository for a JavaScript app with Vite, TypeScript, and React. And you'll notice I'm using speech recognition to do this. Typically, I do this through Super Whisper, but there's lots of other good alternatives as well, of course. And in order to activate the agent on my repo, I need to click through and add the repo here. So I will do repo monitor and add this. And once I've done this, it should be able to activate the agent on my repo if I invoke it there. And the way I did this is I went to app.allhands.dev, where you can add in our thing here. Also, I'd like to point out that we're not the only app that can do this. There's also other ones like Devon or Jules or things like this, but I'm just going to demonstrate with this because I'm most familiar with it. So what I can do is OpenHands fix this issue. And so once I've done this, if I've added it to the repo, ideally it will start working on this. And we can tell it did because we got little eyes here. And soon after we put the eyes, basically what it does is it gives you an assessment of how difficult this task is going to be. This takes a little while to generate, so let's give it a second or two. But this assessment of how difficult it's going to be is really helpful because if you're not familiar with how agents work, you might give kind of underspecified directions or other things like this, and it can give you additional clues about what to do next. So here it said what's clear, the technology stack is well defined, these are all standard well-documented tools, and other things like this. So it's started setting this up. While the agent is working, you could click through and watch the agent work, and I might do this later, but actually a good next step is to not watch the agent work, but actually start laying out a plan for implementing the rest of the functionality that you would like. So this is going to be a repo monitor, and I would in order for it to be a repo monitor, I want to monitor a few things. And so I will say implement pull request monitor, pull request service. So I would like to create a pull request service that monitors two different types of pull requests on a specified GitHub repo. Pull requests that are open, not in draft status, but have no assigned reviewers. Pull requests. Pull requests that have been reviewed, but are in non-draft status. So these are the two things that I would like to monitor, because then we can go in and fix those issues if we have them. Another thing that I would like to do is, one thing that's really important when working with agents is to have a solid framework for automatic testing that allows you to tell if agents are building good code. So create linting rules with pre-commit checks. So create linting rules for the JavaScript app and make sure that they are activated through pre-commit checks. So what this will do is this will make sure that before the agent commits code, it will automatically check the code. And I'm not invoking the agent here yet because it's still working on setting up the repo, but I'll do that in a bit. Another thing that I like to do is I like to add GitHub continuous integration. Add to GitHub continuous integration. I would like to add GitHub continuous integration that tests if the repo can be run, can be built. The same GitHub workflow should also run the tests to make sure that the tests pass. So this is another one that I'll add in when the app is done running. So I've set out a plan. After this pull request service is finished, I would like to visualize the results. Or actually, another thing that I know I will need is add the ability to specify a GitHub token. In order to retrieve information from GitHub, the user must be able to specify a GitHub token. This can be stored in local storage, so the user only needs to enter it once. So this is another thing that we can implement. Setting up this repo is taking a little bit of time. Let me make sure that the agent is still on track here. So what I did now is I clicked through the interface where I can actually monitor what the agent is doing. This interface has changes. It has a VS Code terminal, so you can see like what the agent has implemented, a terminal to see what the agent is doing, and a web browser if the agent like browses to see any things. As I said, it was taking a little while, but we were right at the point where it was creating a pull request. So hopefully we should be seeing the pull request show up here. Perfect timing. Okay, there's the pull request. So we see that it's set up Vite, React, TypeScript. This should be pretty straightforward. during this demo video, I'm just going to be looking at the code very briefly. In reality, if you want to build a solid app, you should probably be doing review more extensively than I'm going to do here, but I'll just merge this in and say this is okay for now. So I've merged that in, and now we have the basic app to use, and you can see that it's closed the issue corresponding to that. So now what I want to do is I want to go through and invoke the agent on all of these issues that it is that I opened before. So I can do, in order to do this, actually here, usually you don't have to do this, but I'll say make sure to add tests and see that the tests pass. So in order to invoke here, I can also label the issue with open hands. And one really cool thing is I have all of these, and I can just label all of them with open hands. And I think this will set the agent off working on all of the issues. So let's see if that works. You can see the little eyes here, little eyes here. So just by setting the label, I now invoked 4 agents to work on these 4 separate tasks. So it'll take a little while for these agents to run. Next thing I will do is I will go to Vercel. And Vercel is a way of deploying web apps, relatively easily. So I'll go in and import my repo monitor app here and start it deploying. And ideally, what this means is, when the next, once this deploys, when the agents finish their jobs, I will be able to actually view the changes that they made in Vercel. Great, it is deployed. So I can go to the dashboard and see that it's at repo-monitor.vercel.app. Right now, it's just, the basic thing. So this is all nice. I guess the agent is still working on all of these things. And I just thought of another thing that I would like to do, which is our so this is the company site for All Hands AI, which is behind OpenHands. It's at allhands.dev, and I kind of like the styling here. The beige background, the black, the yellow hands. So improve styling of the web app. I would like to make this web app on brand. In order to do so, on brand. In order to do so, check the styling of and create a similar style in your CSS files. Get the OpenHands logo from the All Hands AI OpenHands repo and add it to this repo, both in the main page and as a fav icon. Cool. So let's get the agent working on that one as well. So I now have 5 agents working simultaneously, I believe, and 3 of them have finished. So this one has linting rules and pre-commit hooks. So it seems okay. So we have workflows for building and testing. So that looks great. Everything's fine. So I'll merge that one in. So I have linting rules and pre-commit hooks. So the Vercel build is now failing. So actually, maybe what I will say here is, please merge in the main branch and follow the linting workflow to make sure that everything builds properly. So hopefully that will fix the Vercel errors. So we can let it do that. Add GitHub token functionality. Actually, probably want to ask it to do the same thing. So this demonstrates the importance of having these sorts of checks, because if we have automatic checks, then the agent will be able to go in and fix its problems on its own. Here, okay, so we have the build and test workflow here. The build and test GitHub workflow is failing. Reproduce the problem locally by following the steps in this workflow and fix. So another thing is open hands and other agents like this have the ability to add specific instructions. And so what I will do is add repo instructions about linting. So in the open hands micro agents repo.md file. So if you put instructions in this file, what it will allow you to do is it'll get the agent to look at these every time it starts a new job. So I will say add instructions to follow the building and linting GitHub workflow to check that everything works before sending a pull request. So this is a way that we can make sure that the agent sends more, follows these before sending a pull request to make sure it sends code that passes this workflow. Great. The agent is working on all of these things now. So let's think a little bit ahead. What will I want to do next? Usually I find that if I have about 5 agents running at a time, that's kind of the ideal amount. As they stream, as they're working, the results will stream in and I can continue working with them. But this is the rare instance where I have 5 agents working and I still am waiting for them to finish. So maybe we could just wait a little bit longer. I think none of these should take too long. Okay, yeah. This one finished. Let's see if Vercel deploys so we can actually take a look at it. Yes, Vercel passed this time. So this one's looking good. Can go in and review. Have some ESLint. It updated the packages to add linting rules. Okay, everything is looking pretty solid. So I can go back and merge that one in. Okay, so this one has some merge conflicts now because I merged that one in. Handling merge errors is obviously a huge pain, but here I can just say, please fix the merge errors. And OpenHands will go in and fix the merge errors for me. But while it's doing that, let me take a look at what it looks like. And so we have no GitHub token set, and we should go in and set that. So I have a GitHub token laying around that I can use for this purpose. Let me grab it. And throw it in here. Actually, before I do that, I might want to double check to make sure that I'm not going to show you my GitHub token on the video. Yep, it's input type password, so that's okay. So, code review is still kind of important to do sometimes. So, yeah, looking pretty good. So let me try that out. Okay, the GitHub token is set. Things are looking solid. That one's fixing the merge errors. So let me take a look at the pull request service. Another thing I can do is I can just drop into the agent that was already working to kind of resolve its state. So I can say merge in the main branch and fix any failing tests that you find when running the GitHub building and testing workflow. So you can get that one working on that, and then jump back to GitHub. And so this one is adding repository instructions about linting. Okay, that looks good. So hopefully what this will mean is now we're adding instructions to the repository that the agent can follow. And these can be used to like make sure that we'll get more solid pull requests next time. So I'll merge that one in. Those ones are still, the agent is maybe still working on them. Let me take a look at this styling one. Is this one still working? Great, it's running the tests. So let's see this. Run the steps of the building and testing workflow and see if they pass. Let me check this one also. Run the steps of the building and testing workflow and see if they pass. Okay, so it's going in and fixing that. I see that it's opened up another branch, so we should have our styling branch open soon too. So let's plan a little bit ahead. So now we have a GitHub token pull request service. Implement pull request viewing UI. So based on the repositories that the GitHub token has available to it, create a UI that shows the results of the functions implemented in the pull request service. So I'm not going to set the agent on that yet because we're still kind of working in that direction. Okay, so and then, while I was creating that issue, 2 of the agents have finished. I can visit the preview here. And the GitHub token functionality seems to be working well. Everything passes. I already reviewed the code a little bit earlier, and so probably the minor changes that it made are sufficient. And it looks like we're ready to merge this one in. Great, so one more down. Let me just double check that this one is still working on it. And then after I check to make sure that this is still working, okay, yeah, it's still working on finishing things up. So let's look at the styling and branding. I kind of love these ones when they work, so let's see what it came up with. Awesome. That's really well branded, very, very similar to the example that I showed. So yeah, can do a quick code review and pull this in. It got the fave icon too, so I've got the hands up there. Oh, I love when this works. This is so fun. Cool. Looks like we have some merge conflicts though, so you might need to tell it to fix the merge conflicts. Okay, I have some more. Okay, this guy looks a little stuck. Every once in a while, the agents will kind of get stuck in things, and so I just stopped that guy and give it a not so good grade there, and I'll start it off again. Merge main and fix any conflicts. So this guy is still working here too. Okay, so while the agent's working, let me think of some next steps. I think one thing that I'd like to have is a bit of documentation. Make concise documentation about what this repo does, how you can use it and set it up, and where it is deployed on Vercel. So this will be something for the future. And these guys are maybe still working. Okay, so when I'm waiting for the agents to work, sometimes I take a quick break, and I might do that now as well. Go grab some coffee. So I'll be right back, and probably in 3-4 minutes, and hopefully the agents will finish by then. See you on the flip side. Okay, I'm back, and it looks like the agent has finished its work. Building and testing have finished, so I will look at the preview and do some pull requests. So no GitHub token set. I can try to add my GitHub token. And let me monitor. Okay, great. Oh, open PRs with no reviewers. So this is looking very nice. So let me merge this in. After taking a quick look through the code, as I mentioned before, I would definitely take a much closer look at this if I were, building a production level app. But for the purpose of time in this demo, I'm not doing that. We've also looked at automatic code review, and there are some solutions out there like CodeRabbit and Ellipsis and Buzz and things like this. We haven't really settled on one that we really like yet, but definitely excited about automatic code review. You can also ask the agent to review your code as well. Okay, so I managed to introduce some more merge conflicts here because I added that. So let me go over to this, and maybe I'll just say resolve the merge conflicts and make sure that the GitHub workflow for building and testing still passes. Great. So actually, it kind of implemented a pull request viewing UI for me already. So I'll close that as completed. And we can always go in and, do more there. But I think we're at the point where we can now add some documentation. So I will ask OpenHands to work on this documentation here. And so the agents are working. So this is now my chance to think about if there's anything else I'd like in this app. I think we're approaching being finished. I don't want to make the demo too long. There's lots of other stuff that we could add later. But yeah, maybe I'll just let it work and finish the documentation and the resolving of the merge conflicts. And hopefully when this is done, we will have a nice, well-branded implementation of the repo. It's going in and fixing everything now. Okay, great. So it looks like things have passed on this improve styling PR. So let me just visit the preview to make sure that the styling is still good. Um, looks kind of okay. I'd like to maybe make that black, but just we can fix that later. I will enter the token after I. So the token is set, and let me do. I'll start monitoring it. Hmm. Okay, so you might need to report that to the agent. Return the pull requests that do not have reviewers. Please check the logic. Okay. So yeah, I'll set the agent off on that one and switch over to the documentation PR. So let's see what it wrote for the documentation. Great. Yeah, it seems like it did a pretty good job on that one. So I will merge that in. Ha. So I guess it had not fully hooked in the monitor into the app. So let's get it doing that for sure. Once it's done with that, hopefully it'll redeploy to the pull request. It's going through in linting and fixing the linting issues. Okay, and it looks like we've resolved this. Let me try one more time just to make sure that everything is working properly. And I will do great. And let me try another one. It's loading pull request data. Significantly more pull requests on this one. So, okay, perfect. Looking very nice. You know, still some stuff we could do with improving styling and everything like this, but overall, doing pretty good. Okay, so I think I'll call it a day on this one. Merge this pull request in, but hopefully this gave you a taste of this new form of development. Now, popping up a level, I'd like to go with some higher level takeaways from this. Specifically, you know, if you are looking to be a software engineer, you're an existing software engineer who wants to skill up for this new paradigm of development, what are kind of the things or the skills that will be necessary? And I think there's a number of skills that will become more prominent. The first one is strong architecture skills and taste. So as you'll notice, when I was developing, I gave a few hints to the agent, like, it should be using GitHub CI, it should implement it using Vite and TypeScript and React and other things like this. And these are all design decisions that I personally made to push the agent in a direction that I would be most familiar with. I also decided to deploy on Vercel, and that was because I was doing a demo and I thought that would be the most convenient way to do it, but there might be other options there as well. And so I think this sort of what to implement is going to become very important because, how to implement it or exactly how you crank out all of the code, a lot more of that will be able to push over to agents. The second thing is ability to communicate specifications clearly. So agents, when they aren't given clear specifications, they'll try to fill in the blanks, and the way they fill in the blanks might not be exactly what you were looking for. And so in order to improve this, obviously, we will need to build the ability to communicate very well with agents. And often that just means laying things out super clear and making sure that they know what to do. A third thing, which I kind of glazed over for the purpose of this demo, is the ability to do code review quickly. So when you're actually putting this code into a production system, you'll want to take a much closer look at it than what I did when developing this demo, just because you want to make sure there won't be hidden bugs and mistaken, misspecifications and other things like this. And then the final thing, which I definitely feel I showcased in this demo, is the ability to multitask. So while the agent is working, usually the worst thing you can do is just sit there and watch the agent work, especially if it's on a kind of trivial thing like setting up a repo. Instead, what you can do is you can switch over to thinking about what you want to be doing next, or other varieties of multitasking that could be productive. And this is something that I think might be a little bit unfamiliar to some software engineers if you really get in the zone and are working in a concentrated way on a single task. It's maybe more akin to what project managers or software architects, higher level, people might be doing. But I feel like this will be trickling down to more and more junior varieties of engineers. So I think if you're not familiar with this, then it's something that you can practice. Anyway, I hope this was informative. I'm really excited about this new variety of software development. And I really think that in 2026, the most powerful software teams are going to be practicing something that looks a lot like this. So hopefully this was informative, and thanks a lot for watching.